The failures and success stories in the automation side. And the emerging ones is testing on the mobile and cloud, which we would come to some data points. So that's about the global testing opportunity in terms of the spend and where. So I think fairly, if you were to summarize, there is a fairly big marketplace. Still, testing is sometimes done as part of the software development, so you can't really carve out that part. But more and more what is happening is, if you look at IT players, they're able to distinguish a separate testing space and say my revenue is 20% of my thing. So for example, Cognizant says about 20% of their revenue comes from testing. So that's the kind of thing that's happening. Now, from a geography and service line split, if you look at US is still the biggest spender in the testing space. Close to 60% comes from US, expected to grow at an exponential rate. Europe tends to be the second one, close to about 30-odd%, and then coming from Asia Pac. Asia Pac also, there are significant investments in terms of markets like Singapore, Japan, Australia, where the economies are a bit more from a GDP perspective higher. In terms of category, there are two areas. One is the enterprise application and second is product engineering. Together, I think the enterprise space always is much bigger in terms of spend compared to the product engineering. So, but there are pure play product engineering testing companies also that we have seen. Now this is from NASSCOM, very important data. I think Rex also was bringing this fact. Now the total outsourcing is close to about 30, where it is in-house, and outsource is about 10. And rest of world, India still in terms of the share is about 3.2. This is 3.2 in terms of the in billion, which has again two components of it. One is through other IT services that you provide, and the second is pure testing. So that's close to be about close to 2 billion at this point of time. Pure testing base expected to grow, and more when companies are setting up, it's expected to grow at much higher. Coming to the offshoring and outsourcing of testing, majority of the Fortune 500 companies are outsourced. If you look at around 75% of companies have outsourced or offshored testing. Not all of them have offshored, because sometimes because of data privacy and keeping the data, these are not offshored out of the country. It is kept within the country. This includes test COE, test lab, remote infrastructure, those kind of areas. Even areas like performance testing has been offshored. The ratio tends to be between 40-60 to 80-20. So in a mature system, in a mature offshoring relationship, companies have been able to take almost like 80% working out of India or offshore based location. That's the kind of thing. Typically, I think when I was initially leading this in UK, in 2000, when we used to go and talk to companies, they were not even first instances, how can you offshore testing? And while the development was offshore, testing offshoring took a lot of time and the mindset. And I remember precisely one company that did this. Actually, they were trying to convince a client that, yeah, we can offshore it. And the client wasn't convinced. So what they did was they took a hotel across the client's location, and then they set up the base there, and they worked in a different time zone. And it was working fantastically. So then the client said, okay, if you can do across my location in a place, why it can also be offshore. So the companies had to go to that extent to get it done. But now things have changed. I think when you talk about offshoring or testing, people do accept it, and that's a ratio of 20-80 we are doing. So all the major players, I think you look at IBM, Capgemini, Atos, all of them have testing as a space within them. What has also happened is the innovative licensing model that has come in. So now we are talking about cloud computing, but whether testing can be offered as in the cloud. So there are very innovative models that IT service players. So in fact, we are in talk with some of them where they offer performance testing or automation on the cloud. So you just you take the licenses only for the period that, so those kind of trends are also coming up. So this space is evolving from the cloud, from testing perspective. While cloud itself offers a different opportunity, but testing can also be offered on the cloud. So that's just from an offshoring. Now the models for outsourcing, it started with staff augmentation, and it still is largely staff augmentation. So when we say we have people working on an FTE mode, but more and more we are seeing managed services where the complete end-to-end result is given to you. You test it, you deliver on an SLA-based activity. So there are companies doing that. Then obviously there are consulting on test COE setup, those kind of things are there. The other one is test labs or test factories. I think these terms were used time and again, but we are seeing an evolution in the test factory approaches in a managed services across multiple domains. So recently we were discussing with one client where they were offering the test factory across multiple domain in a true factory model. It is run by a set of experts, and the pricing is very different. So this is also evolving from the way it is being run, from pure FTE mode to managed services to highly evolved, and where you can also bring in the cloud-based concepts. So that's where the model for outsourcing is changing. Yeah, coming to the M&A space, I think this is something that we've seen significant M&A in this one. We have seen, for example, initially there was a company, an IS integration. We were scouting around for an acquisition, and we almost narrowed down an IS integration before it was acquired by AppLab. And interestingly, AppLab got acquired in 2011 by CSC. And there are a fair bit of acquisition in HP of those were the bigger ones in Mercury, IBM. Capgemini acquired Sojit. That is another big acquisition. Still, it operates as a separate brand name. So those are things, AppLab. So if you look at predominantly in the testing space, fair bit of players now, and also from a tool vendor, IBM, IBM, HP, Micro Focus, Oracle, Microsoft, these tends to be the predominant. And open source is also being used extensively. Open source is also kind of, it is not fairly. Coming to the automation areas, automation is one area possibly there have been not so much of success. There is a lot of talk about automation in the testing space, but not too many projects to be successful. I think more failures have happened and success. I think it has to do with, one is the license cost of software. The second is the time to, the effort to maintain the scripts. And there are multiple factors on it. But there have been very highly successful automation projects also. There was one project that an IT service company was doing for one of the large pharma companies. What they did was, that automation had almost like 100 FTEs as a project using one of the popular tools. What they did was, considering the license cost, they did it in 2 shifts also. So they procured the same set of licenses, but then shifted one shift from 7 to 11. So those kind of very innovative models were used. So sometimes the cost gets prohibitively expensive, but there have been very successful ones on enterprise apps. For example, SAP, Oracle, those kind of application doing automation. There have been good success stories, but there are equally a lot of failures. We also see a trend where companies do come to us and say, can you guide us on open source based tools for automation? And it's working. It is, we must say that in some cases we do see that. Now, from a ratio of testing tool, when we talk of automation, there are predominantly 3 areas that we are talking about. One is the automation tools, which is to do with regression, doing very well. So that's the kind of ratio that we see within the testing tool landscape. Now, this report, I think, also shows the amount of test coverage in terms of different activities. So manual test, still I think if you look at the automation coverage, it's only between, most of it is between 10 to 20% automation. So anybody here who has kind of done about 80% automation? A few here. And most of it is below 10%? Yeah? So there are a few examples here of 80%. Maybe we can hear from you later. as to what been the success. So in those things, it will be pretty well planned, and maybe the application and the areas would be selected. So that's what we are seeing. The other question that we typically get is, what is the tester to developer ratio? Now, I did talk about Microsoft at the initial phase is investing about 1:1, but typical ratio is very similar to the ratio of testing within a life cycle, which is about, how much is it? 20%. So about 20%. So you are talking about 1:5. In most cases, you are going to find one tester for 5 developers. Not in the unit testing, but rest of the space. I think if it is becoming mission critical, like what we saw the spacecraft, you're going to invest about 1:1 or even more. So in some cases, you would be doing that. It depends on the application, what industry it is, and the criticality of the application. Those are determinant factor for. But typically, you can, thumb rule is, if you have a project, if I get one tester for a while, you should be pretty happy. Okay, I don't know, that's a way, the estimations are still not evolved to that extent, but you should be pretty happy with that. Now, coming to software estimation, this is from World Quality Report, I think one published by CAP and Sojeti. Estimation still remains to be a bit of a hazy area. I think many of the companies use in-house estimation methods, and we will talk later about the process angle to it. Some of the ones like industry standard, like use cases, test point cases are also being used by different companies. But again, lot more in-house thumb rule based estimation compared to scientific methods. That's what we are seeing. Okay, now what are the areas of testing? I think from an IT service organization, and one is the enterprise apps testing is witnessing significant investment. So if you look at major IT players and companies that are in the testing space, this is one area they're doing significant investment. That is SAP-based testing, Oracle-based testing, or Siebel, or the bigger enterprise apps. So you will find this as a space within an bigger IT players. And tend to be bigger in numbers also. In the automation side also, we find the enterprise space to be bigger because it's fairly stable application, and you can test, you can automate those fairly stable ones with incremental changes. So that's one, and you have the releases quite often. So that's the enterprise. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the reason why testing is needed, because what's happening is while you buy a COTS product, you don't really need to test it. But the interface with integration with multiple platforms and changes that you do. So we always see enterprise projects to be much bigger in scale, and as a revenue portion also it tends to be. Yeah, I think there are cases, and I just. Okay, the other one that, yeah, sure. Can we reserve the questions till the end? Because I would cover in the different areas, and we can come in the end. Yeah, sure. The second one is domain-based testing. So the other area that we're witnessing is actually more and more within the organization, it is verticalized. So you're going to find BFSI or telco, life sciences, retail at different segments within the even in smaller testing companies, we are finding that trend. The bigger one, I think almost the company is verticalized, right from the software development to the support and all that. And testing naturally tends to fall in it. But to give the client the benefit, more and more questions the client is asking is, what kind of specialists do you have in those domains? So investments in domain, investment from the structural viewpoint, how do you segregate your organization is also based on the domain. So this is more and more coming up. Banking, pharma, defense, retail, and multiple other domains, almost all the domains. And some people are in fact hiring specialists on those domains. For example, a banking expert or a what is it, FDA, or any of them. So they're hiring those experts to do the testing. So this is a trend that we are seeing at this point of time. Non-functional testing also, I think it is not to the same scale, but some of the things like, for example, performance, reliability, usability, for example, in e-commerce site, usability across multiple platforms, and for example, is a disabled person in some colorblind, they are able to access those kind of usability concepts are also coming up. So non-functional testing from performance, usability, those are also specialized area. In fact, one of the company had a usability lab. So what they did was, any e-commerce application, they could load it there, and they had people who will be using the e-commerce application, and they would record their movement, and that's the kind of thing. So usability as a concept is also coming in. So, and performance, obviously, I think there are significant investments that happen there. Some interesting models, I think very, very interesting one. All of you have heard of eat your own dog food? Yeah, okay. I think eat your own dog food is, is a concept by Google and some of the companies like Microsoft. What they do is, they don't give it to an external company for testing. They have 200,000, sometimes 100,000 employees. So in fact, before release of any product, they ask the internal staff to do testing. And if it is an Android-based mobile phone, you really don't need to give it out. So you give it to your employees and say, okay, test it and let me know what's happening. So that's called as eat your dog food. And it's actually, I was working with Google at one point of time, and we said, okay, how is testing working? This is precisely the way they do it. They said, we don't need it to give it outside. But what they were also doing is something called as crowd testing. And this concept has really come of age, and especially from a European and other perspective, I don't know how much is in the US. There are pure play crowd testing companies where you really don't need to employ an outsourcer. There are freelance testers who will be paid by the bug they detect. So there are companies like UTest, Mobile for Hire, and if you go to their website, it lends into it. For example, gaming as an